Sunbeam. Catch it! On your max. Get set. Straight beat. Go! Something so sweet there for your body. What is this? One mommy area. Something so sweet there for your body. What is this? One mommy area. One mommy area. Diabetes. One mommy area.
Before even thinking about what the organization is trying to do, she has made up her mind that this is going to be another failure. And they started counting down, the countdown to go live. And you know what she did on her computer? She said, countdown to failure.
Well, and America, I think why people resist change, theoretically, there are so many assumptions that when people are not involved in the implementation or the process of the change, obviously you resist because you don't want it to come like a big bang. And when people don't trust the change, there is a paper that I'm writing, trust, change, commitment. You know, when people don't trust the change process, you can give them all the money, all the trade resources, but I think there's nothing like trust. That's when Ed said, you should build trust, you should be transparent. When people don't feel there's some level of trust as to job security, they'll resist because they know that if I even go for this change, my department would be capsized or maybe cut off. They will go to hell and resist the change. So at times you don't blame the human being. It's where they don't feel comfortable or when they don't trust the change process in place.
Okay. I appreciate what you've just said, but do they have control over what happens to them even if they resist that change?
You see, it's about communication. You communicate to the people. Even if they don't like it, communicate to them. Tell them the motive behind the change. Then they will buy into it. When you force it on them, it's like, let me put it this way.
It seems you've stolen my slide because we're getting to that point in terms of what we have to do.
Yeah.
And we talk about that.
Yeah, okay. I'm Ademola from the University. I believe sometimes change as an individual depends on the environment in which you serve. Yeah, most of the times you really wish, let's put it in the way that maybe in an organization, you are actually being enthusiastic to make the change. But of course, the status quo is favorable to those that are at the top. Understand? And then of course, if you are trying to make this change, there will be a constraint of some people being actually feel threatened about the change, and therefore they will never facilitate the change to happen. Killing the dream of change in you, but of course you have it, but it can't happen. That's what
Probably we share from the experience of likes of Neil, because when we're talking about change, we get to a point. How can we make it happen? Is this something that has to be a departmental or individual, or does it have to be something that has to be accepted, or the board has to buy into what we're trying to do? I'll give a classic example. I remember that was 2010, our Rural Payment Agency. This is an organization that everything they've done is waterfall. That they want the documents, and the documents will go through that process and get signed off and get before they even start thinking about it. And they're now coming with a concept of Scrum that will lead to agility, and people were just kind of thinking, how are they going to do it? And they gathered the right team together. And the first thing I said is, we are coming here as a change agent to make this happen. For the people we'll be speaking to, do we have the buy-in? And the first thing we have to do is the buy-in doesn't have to be from the people I'll be working with on a daily basis. It has to be top down in terms of when the executive is working in the corridor, he buys into what we say and you stop by even if it's a minute to just kind of comment, so people should see him around, him or her around that is buying into it. So the change has to be top down, and individual, it's all about the people. You can get the best technology and get everything if people are not kind of in tune with what you're doing. It's a waste of time. And the Y can be is going to probably improve their work. How long does it take you to go through this file? If we put a new system in place, the information you're looking for that you're going through 10, 20 systems, you can get it in one. So it might be a retraining, so that's an individual thing. It's another topic for another day. Any question or any?
You said that when you find yourself in a difficult situation, the first thing you should do is to get an exit plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not in a difficult situation.
Okay.
This thing I'm doing now, do I want to do it for the rest of my life? That's fine. So I've got a plan. Flying around, talking to people about this. Everything you know. When do I want to stop it? And when do I know is the right time to stop it? So I've got an exit strategy in place. That's what I'm talking about.
Which is actually synonymous to you actually getting certified.
That's your choice. I might be the one that, look, money is not everything to me. If I've got a comfortable life, just to buttress what Neil said earlier on, people don't like change. And I said, really? Some people do, some people don't. However, people don't like being changed and the being in car. That is change from top down. And the interesting one for me is, I said, cultural change includes everybody, all the way to the board of director. In DEFRA, Mike Payne, the technical director, sits next to me. And most times when we're going for stand-up, I don't expect him to be at the stand-up. But I've told him times without number that Mike, just you being around while people are talking about what they're doing, gives them the fact that you're buying into what we're doing. And that will make a lot of difference. And truly, for you having someone like your director around, and you're doing what you're doing, even people that are not used to listening, we want to pretend to listen. And you know what I can do in terms of if the director is buying into this, we have to do it. Because sometimes we're like, I don't want to use the word, we're like animals sometimes, because sometimes when, I remember growing up, in England, they'll call that abuse. But when you see the cane, what does that say to you? Well, you know the position. Automatically, you just say, yeah, we're buying into this. So there are all sorts of things. That's another topic for another day. Nothing you guys are taking out of this forum today. Please and please and please. Change that mindset. Change the notion that things that are happening around you are happening because it's in Ghana. That's our culture. It's in Nigeria. We're laid back. It's in Brazil. No. Everywhere is the same. Every day you have to go around telling people why we're doing this. And that's England. Everywhere.
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
It's inevitable. Okay, my question is like this. When change comes, how can we control and maintain stability in our businesses?
That's a wrong question.
I know.
That's a great wrong question.
Great wrong question.
It was perfect.
Great wrong question. And we go.
I think there was an inner conflict in the question. Change is inevitable, and then you talked about stability.
Stability.
So you cannot have change and stability.
So like, what I'm saying is, so now, just how to manage your business, because sometimes there's a change that comes now, then later on, the plan changes, so how can you manage it and be able to stabilize it?
Yeah. I think he makes sense to me because if I should add what he said to let's international perspective, right? We all know that Americans are proud cultures.
Sorry?
Americans have this proud culture.
Proud.
Yeah. Wherever they go, they want to impose, they want people to
No, that's interesting.
It's
No,
a theory.
serious, that's interesting.
That is a theory.
That's
That
very
Americans, British, Lebanese, they are considered the proud cultures. If you read Ofsted Cultural Dimensions, yes, it tells you the proud culture and those who are ready for change. So if you take a company that is in for ethnocentric culture, if they come to a country like Ghana, they would want to impose their culture without thinking of the change and the people over here. So that is where should we manage it or use the parent culture?
Can I, sorry, before we digress, and when you're saying the Americans are proud,
Yeah.
right? Do you know, I was having a conversation with Neil before we came here. From the northern part of Nigeria, Demola, if you want to talk to an Hausa man today, what would you say about an Hausa man you coming from Lagos? He's trying to be nice. Growing up, I'll say Hausa man, I'll say they're stupid. All they do is cattle rearing.
Yeah.
So, going back to what you said about the Americans, going back to Africa, we're in the same Nigeria, and the southerner, is looking at the man up north to prove to me that I'm the stupid one.
Yes.
And I'll give you a classic example. I met a neurosurgeon. He's actually a consultant in England. Listen, in England, up north England, and this guy is from the north. So what does that say to me? Calling the Hausa stupid. So exactly, coming back to the American, if they bring their company to Ghana, and you're working for them, am I going to be the one that will come and tell them that you're not a stupid man? No. Who has to do it? So you're coming back to the you. I remember the first day I worked somewhere, and I was speaking to someone, and the first thing that came out was, "You speak good English." And I was like, we're talking of an HR, and I just came out of an interview. And I just said, after the interview and we're going down to the corridor, I said, well, that's not a compliment, that's insulting. And when I said that, I was like, what? I said, no. We went through, my education in English. So, do you think we've fallen from the trees and things like that? So at the end of the day, and there's something about me. I wake up in the morning, 3 hours drive to work, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, how do I want this day to be? I want it to be fantastic. And I walk through the office, 7, and someone says, how are you today? Okay, fabulous. How are you today? I'm awesome. And someone now told me, is there a dull moment in your life? And I said, why? He said, you're always fantastic, you're always awesome. So what I've done is, I'm ready for the day, with a positive attitude. If you're coming with a negativity, I'll neutralize that negativity with a positive. So, is your mindset, where do you want to get to? If there's going to be a change, who's going to make it happen? Yourself. That's what I always say to myself. I have to do my bit. I don't have control over others, but at least I've got control over myself. Various views on change. I've seen something they've said, top down, bottom up, middle out. But what about inside out? Now, I've seen all that everywhere, all sorts of presentations. What about the inside out you're talking about? When there's going to be, if there's going to be a change, where's that change? Where do you think that should happen? Who should be the sponsor? Or who are those people that should buy into that change we're trying to put through?
The leaders.
That's one. That's being generic.
That's stuff from the top.
And if we're talking about culture, one thing I've learned in my business school and everything is, can we change culture, Neil? Sorry, can we change culture?
I can live with it, but
It depends where you find yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know he's on Twitter. That was why I asked the
What
question.
culture you're talking about? Are you talking about organizational culture?
Or-
Or culture in
Organizational culture.
Oh,
That's a big topic.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we're going there, we don't want to go deep into that. And it goes back to what we're talking about in terms of this is how we do things. And I'm just digressing a bit, but that's another topic for another day. So,
So you can, like from a, having a much more of a structured schedule for employees to one that's more flexible, a flex schedule. That would be a cultural shift.
That's
so
right.
That's exactly a cultural change. But
that's right. So what I'm saying is you identify the need for you identify the need to change for the desired culture. If that makes sense. Does that make sense now? Excuse me, sorry.
I had a question about the top-down when you were saying, and maybe I misunderstood it. Did you say for change to happen, it has to be top-down? Did I?
No. The
Okay.
top-down. What I'm saying is, for it to happen, there are different beliefs that it's top-down, bottom-up, inside-out. That's theories everywhere. But what about the inside-out? The people, the individual, that's where I'm coming from. So we've talked about it in terms of, it has to be top-down, people push it down. Bottom up, it has to go anywhere. Inside out. Middle out. But I'm talking about the inside out as in the individual earlier on in terms of every other people are stupid. But I'm the only one that is brainy. So the individual one, which is me, has to be part to make that happen of people that believe, why do we want to change what we're doing despite the fact that I've been in this organization for 40 years?
I find it interesting because with your notion of, in America, I'm seen as the African, and in Ghana, I'm seen as the American. So, and so I have found that I took a stance of passive resistance when I got into the environment, because I realized that to come across, even seeing myself as a change agent and I'm there to make a change, I was going to hit that resistance because people would be seeing me as this know-it-all American coming in to try to change it.
Yeah.
So the whole notion of how you go about changing an environment is also of great interest to me, because I've seen people come in, too eager to, and forgetting that sometimes change takes time.
Yeah.
And it's, and the whole thing about iterations and all that, yes. And so I think it's easy to just say change, but to actually, if we can delve into that, like how do you really implement?
I think I've got 30 minutes, 1 hour. It's a wide list. This is what I'm saying. So what we're just trying to say is like, it's going to be suicidal for anyone to come into a new environment, like you coming from America to Ghana, and want to impose things. Because the first thing you have to do, and we've said it earlier on in terms of if you really understand that environment and the way people work and all this stuff, and you'll be able to go looking for how you're going to introduce that. And I'm sure, and I'm very, very sure, you are more than capable to do that. But in the essence of this conversation mainly is just about the individual and the mindset and the fact that, this is not going to happen because of the environment I find myself. It's going to happen. You might probably be lucky you get into an environment and they buy into what you're doing straight away. And you probably get into an environment where you have to do a lot, and that lot might be communication or whatever you have to do to make them buy into what you're trying to get across. It's not going to be an easy ride, because you're not paid to just go there and think it's going to happen. And that's also an individual.
How did you do what it depends on? And when you first entered UK, because it's from another culture to another. So what did you do?
Do you want me to go first?
Well, I know Neil will say it's another.
No. Do you want me to go first?
All right, no, go first.
And I didn't quite understand the question.
No, the question is when you get to Brazil.
Yeah, your first time
Your first
entering Brazil.
experience coming from Germany